the politics of East Africa and of Africa takes a youthful face in the output, the more it is important for us to ensure that there's an accountability mechanism for being a young leader.
And if you see South Sudan peace in implementing now, the youth have played a big role to convene their constituency, where the population of the constituency, 70% of our population in South Sudan are youth.
Our commitment is that we will follow this to the dot. And we believe that there is nothing for the youth without the youth. So let's push this agenda together, especially the integration of East Africa.
As East African integration widens and deepens, there's a growing need to bring you young people together so that you speak with the present and the future leaders. I encourage you to make use of the knowledge obtained in this forum to advocate for the space in shaping development agenda in your respective countries and at the regional level. I also encourage you to work on what you discuss in this forum and put them to action.
The Youth Lead Summit was a complete package. Politics, we talked about business, we talked about gender, we talked about the critical role of young people, not only in Africa, but actually marketing ourselves to the global market. So that's really key. And also our critical role as young people in building peace.
Tusonga mbele mama Afrika, Afrika, Tusonga mbele mama Afrika, Afrika,
What can we do to reduce unemployment? Can we be job creators rather than just job seekers?
The only business you can go into, whether you are a public figure, or public official, or otherwise, and nobody will praise you or probe you, is agriculture.
This is where the ideas of young people can begin snowballing.
We need to get into technological innovation. Since 2021, investors have thrown $940 million into technology companies in Africa. So technology is the way to go.
It is important that whatever is done at policy level is disseminated to the users or to the beneficiaries.
What is your ideal Africa that you wish to have?
Africa which supports the youth, because the youth are the innovative and they can move Africa.
An Africa driven by business, trade and investment.
It's a united Africa, one Africa by Africans and for Africans.
I want the FCFTA to be for the young people and driven by the young people.
Buy East Africa, build East Africa. That is the brand we need to put across. That is the song we should be singing as youth.
Mine, it is Africa that is borderless.
I think it's important to start to aim low, to build your business, to have some experience and then be confident enough to go beyond, from your village to the next town, to the region.
East Africa is a home of close to almost 200 million people. And if you are to go and design a product, one product, however small it is, you'll be assured of 200 million people. If you are selling that product for $1, and you are able to get that market, that's the money you'll be able to make. You can make Africa the factory of the world. It is possible.
It is a great privilege to be part of this important youth event, and allow me to express his deepest appreciation to you. He's so proud of you, of what you're doing, particularly you lead and the youth present there, but also at the continental level. As we continue to nurture the young people, the young generation, we must acknowledge that they need key technical skills to become more competitive in the process of realizing the African Continental Free Trade Area, and also to encounter various challenges related to financing and ease of movement.
I like the idea of having a forum where people from all walks of life and from the various social, economic, and political backgrounds sitting together under one roof to discuss issues of common interest. The Arusha debate will seek to discuss and highlight pressing African issues which would require regional, continental, and global policy attention and action. This kind of focus of the Arusha debate is something I wholeheartedly welcome and support. A successful Arusha debate will add another significant milestone to the Arusha brand. Ladies and gentlemen, let me say that I have no doubt in my mind that you will be able to deliver the Arusha debates as a world-class undertaking. If they could do it with Davos, we can also do it with Arusha. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, after those many words, it is now my singular honor and pleasure to declare the inaugural Arusha debates officially open. Best of luck.
Songa mbele mama Afrika, Afrika, Tusonga mbele mama Afrika.
Giving it back to GIZ for supporting this initiative. Please stand up on your feet and give a rousing appreciation to GIZ. Please do that.
So thank you so much, and also to the entire management. Pass our appreciation.
Document that is required.
So in the case
Yes.
where I
but where you are
provide-
non-compliant,
Yes.
where you are, I've said where you are compliant,
Yes.
that process must be completed within the service level, the time agreed on by that department.
We're going to hear from your representative, who will also give us a few remarks in less than 5 minutes. And then, once he's done, we'll see your performance. So get ready, embrace yourself, whether you're going to start from there and come through. Let us know how much space you want.
One Young Africa, we say yes to one Africa market. Thank
Tusonga mbele mama Afrika, Afrika,
His word, he says, and I quote, problem is what? Is inevitable. However, we must be the solution, the inevitable solution to the inevitable problem.
Diego Twahirwa, you can even call him Chiri Man, the man who is doing chiri, who is exporting chiri. Looking at CFTA, how can value chain of chiri accommodate more youth? When we had a bilateral discussion, your problem is supply. The market you have, but the problem is supply. These people that are here, young entrepreneurs, how can we involve them to help you in supply chain?
The big question or the issue that we have is getting the sustainable and reliable market. And we are lucky to have a big demand and sustainable market for them. So with the CFTA, that means like we are open. It's not only, I'm not going only to consider Rwanda as a source of the production or supply. It's open for everyone. Like I was lucky to get a big demand to supply chili to China. And when I signed the contract, everyone said, like, how are you going to be able to meet this commitment you're signing? But for me, because I was exposed enough and I know how the order for India or China, it was nothing. And the way they consider Africa as one country, is that I was looking in that framework where I said, now, this order is not only for me, it's not only for Rwanda, it's for Africa. And now with this CFTA program, it's going to ease the transaction and also even the move of people, like for the skills sharing. And for me, I had started this on my own, where I was expanding to DRC, to Zimbabwe. Now, with this framework, it's going to accommodate more young youth across Africa.
We need to upload our products there. I need to sit in Ghana and upload this there. And somebody needs to sit in Gabon and be able to buy from us, okay? So your assignment, number one, to talk to Jumia and find out why can't African companies post there. Number two, we've mentioned that everybody's doing business on Instagram, on Facebook. Instagram has something called Instagram Shop, where anybody can sell on, but it's not available in Africa. Why? Why can't African businesses use Instagram Shop? So you guys here, write to Instagram and make sure that by the time we are coming for the next summit, all businesses are able to upload on Instagram Shop, and we are able to make payments through Instagram Shop and buy through Instagram Shop. Number three, do you know Elsa Majimbo? Yes. She was making funny videos on Instagram. Now she's modeling for all the big brands, okay? There is a model in the village who does not have access to internet, and we've talked about it right now, who, if they had that access to internet, first of all, they could have skills. We are talking about skills here, skills here, skills here. All you need to do is go on YouTube, and after is not going to wait for us. It's just a document. It's just a document. So we have to make it come alive. And so you have 4 assignments. After is not going to wait for us. It's just a document. It's just a document. So we have to make it come alive. And so you have 4 assignments. Please go and represent us.
We stand at a better position to benefit, to support the benefits of and the opportunities of the FCFTA that we are talking about. So now we want to reiterate what the minister from Rwanda mentioned, that it is true. His Excellency Wamkele Mene, the Secretary General of the FCFTA, his priority is to ensure that the young people are driving this FCFTA. So we are putting quite a number of strategies in at the FCFTA to ensure that the youth are involved not only in the negotiations but as well as in the implementation.
As I mentioned, CFTA is a game changer, but to be a game changer, they need to streamline the trade information. That's very critical. And I know in the pillar it has that, but it needs to trickle down to SMEs. The information needs to trickle down to the youth, to the women.
Africa, Africa.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Esther, and good evening. I'm so happy to see all of us here. So maybe we can say our names and the organizations we are representing on the side chat as we wait for more people to join. We're already 17 of us. I can see Ogembo Feni, representing all adolescent girls and young women in Kenya in the Pan-African region under the She Leads project. So we can keep adding up so that we see how many organizations and how many individuals are in the house today. So the time that we have all been waiting for is finally here. My name is Esther Gita, and I'll be taking you through today as we tackle this topic. It's a very sensitive topic in regards to miscommunication and disinformation, especially right now, where one of the East African countries, as we all know, Kenya, is now a political arena where misinformation and disinformation is likely to arise or has already arisen at some point. So that is what we are going to discuss today. And maybe I can open with a quote that can spearhead this conversation. And one person once said that, be aware of false knowledge. It is more dangerous than ignorance. And we always say that ignorance is no defense. However, in this point, misinformation is more dangerous than ignorance. So I can also see Faith Sasha from Kenya, Fiona from Uganda. We can also see Sakwa from Kenya. So as we all keep introducing ourselves and what we do, there's Peter tuning in from Eldoret and works with the Christian Unions, that is Focus Kenya. So our guests today in the house, we are having 4 guests. So we will give them ample time to introduce themselves. So for our guest speakers today, you say your name, what you do, and your favorite food, and you can also tell us your favorite song or type of genre that you love. So I don't know which route to use. They say ladies first, but men before. So, but I'm going to start randomly. So Joel Mwita.
Hi, good evening. I thought maybe for us we could we could have this particular conversation later so that at least we could copy something from our ladies. You see, we were told that we need to be a little bit gentle, and allow our ladies to start first. But since you've been given this opportunity, just allow me to continue. My name is Joel Mwita. I'm the chairperson of Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission Youth Coordinating Committee. This is a committee that is tasked to ensure that there is meaningful youth participation in the electoral processes in Kenya. And also the young people are not also put as only as voters, but people who take part in this particular process. I come in a place in Kenya called Migori, in a place called Kuria. That is where I was born, but raised in Nairobi and also studied in, also both in Nairobi, Kisumu, and Rongo, where I took my undergraduate degree. So I like Afrobeats, and I'm a really young person who love to champion for peace. So I think these are things that we are going to do, and I've really worked well with the institutions of higher learning prior to the appointment being the chairperson of IBC Youth Coordinating Committee. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Joel, for giving us an insight into who you are and what you do. So you have really spoken for the ladies, so we can go to Jacinta.
Good evening. Can you see me? Hello. Can you hear me and can you see me?
Yes, we can see you, Jacinta.
Fantastic. My name is Jacinta Nyambura. I work for Constitution and Reform Education Consortium, CRECO in short. Okay, what else are we supposed to say? Oh yeah, so what do I do in there? So I am very passionate about program management, the whole thing, designing programs, implementing programs, and looking back, reflecting on how we did on programs, which is monitoring, evaluation, and learning. Specifically, I love to program around governance, around democracy, And I am also very passionate about institutional capacity strengthening. I love to see organizations strong enough to carry out their mandates. And I am so blessed to be working at CRECO in this specific capacity because I am doing what I love every day. And specifically during this electioneering period, CRECO is running a program on mis and disinformation. Therefore, tonight is a fantastic night for me to be discussing about a topic that's very close to my heart and also talking about it with young people. So really, really looking forward to have a brilliant conversation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacinta. I don't know if you've said your favorite food or your favorite song.
Oh, I forgot that. So my favorite food is githeri. Yes. Not everyone here is from Kenya. So githeri, and I come from this country, Kenya. So githeri is a mixture of beans and maize. Okay. My favorite song, okay, let me say my favorite girl, a beehive. I totally love Beyonce dancing to her songs because I'm also fitness fanatic. So I work out almost every day. And how I started is by dancing to Beyonce. So yeah, that's it. I hope I have answered everything you needed me to.
Yes, you have. Thank you so much, Jacinta. And
right.
now we're going to have James Sakwa.
Good evening to everyone. I have to begin by apologizing. I am unable to, but I didn't shift governance and economic mokimo and beef fry. Mokimo in Kenya is a mixture of Irish potatoes and some greens. Thank you.
James, kindly, you're breaking, and as such, we cannot completely hear what you're saying. So maybe if you could connect to a good network so that we get to engage with you and hear what you are saying. So meanwhile, as we give you time to connect to a good network, we can check on who we have on board again. I can see Kennedy Odera from Kisumu. He is a partner and works with Wise Kenya. I can also see Ronald. I'm sorry, I'm not good at French, but I hope we'll have translation for those who speak French and any other language that is not Anglophone. And then who else? I can also see Mafunda Faki from ULEAD, and she's in Zanzibar, Tanzania. Okay, James had also written on the side chat. He's from Kenya and head of communication at ELF Africa. So I don't know if James, you're now on a proper network. James, are you now on a proper network?
Thank you for the opportunity.
Okay, you're still breaking, but I think we can proceed. And hopefully during the conversation, you will have connected to a good network. So allow me to proceed, and we will engage you during the chat. I can see we have Ian Mutuma Mobobia at Telecommunication Tech from Activista, Kenya. So back to what we are tackling today on missing.
Yes. Is this better?
Hello, is that James?
Please proceed, Esther. Please proceed.
All right, allow me to proceed then. So I'm going to pose very serious questions that we are going to engage so that we clearly get to know what exactly does it entail, disarming fake news, and how does this misinformation shape the electoral process across these nations and across the states. So this question goes to our guests, all of you. And the first one is, what are your general observations on misinformation and disinformation during this electioneering period? So the electioneering period specifically even refers to Kenya, that is now in this season where we have to elect leaders. So what are your general observations? So I'll start with Jacinta.
Okay. Thank you, Esther. So to your question, I mean, every day I am shocked and I'm grappling with how we are exactly going to paint the gravity of this issue of mis and disinformation to Kenyans. Because when you look at world over, let me start with the funnel approach. The pattern is very clear how mis and disinformation has influenced elections adversely. Let me just, for effect, first say that when you look deeply even into this war that we're witnessing today, Ukraine and Russia, you will see that mis and disinformation has a huge stake in it. The US elections in 2016 had a lot of mis and disinformation in it. In fact, Trump is known for his alternative facts. All those alternative facts, he's quoted and seen referring to a lot of times is mis and disinformation. And, we see how his leadership went. Mis and disinformation affected, was it Brazil? Yeah, the Brazil, in fact known as a WhatsApp election. That was very serious as well. When we look at the issue of Brexit in Europe, there was a lot of mis and disinformation influencing the whole process. So yes, mis and disinformation is very serious. It can shape the political and the election agenda. Not it can, but it already has. In our country in 2017, we witnessed the issue of the Cambridge Analytica. Again, a lot of mis and disinformation, and that was also like very, very serious issue because it affected our elections. How I see it in 2022, again, we have witnessed a lot of cases of mis and disinformation. Today's Daily Nation had that the front for today's newspaper is mis and disinformation. And when you look at some of the stories that were featured in that in today's paper, you will see that there's a wave of mis and disinformation. So yes, It could affect how we make decisions as voters. It could, affect not just decisions, but our perceptions on certain, it might make us like certain candidates without even questioning their manifestos or what it is that they are promising to do to Kenyans. So what I say, yes, the issue of mis and disinformation is very present in these elections. It is very serious and grave because it could influence how Kenyans vote. And there's a need to keep on talking about these issues, to keep on creating awareness amongst Kenyans about the dangers of mis and disinformation, but importantly, how to spot it and how to stop it and how to report it. Esther, back to you.
Thank you so much, Jacinta. I love that finishing line, how to spot it, how to stop it, and even how to report it. So, and also thank you for the insights on the Brazil WhatsApp elections and for being up to date with the news in Kenya. That is now the Daily Nations and the trend that we are having on misinformation and disinformation in Kenya. So maybe we give Joel your take on misinformation and disinformation during this electioneering period.
So I can go ahead.
Yes, sure.
Yes, as you understand that information is power, and lack of it does not only spur panic, but also gives a room for citizens to create their own information and pass it to the citizens of the Republic, for our case, for the Republic of Kenya. And we've seen the effect of misinformation among many countries that have gone through the process that we are undergoing in the country. And we are saying that a lot of things, including electoral violence, sometimes are actually geared by the times and the kind of misinformation that is being given by most of the people in this particular arena. So we are saying that misinformation can be a very good recipe for violence because people are told a lie, and because they have not even taken time to confirm what they have been told about, then it makes them even go to the street. For example, you can be told that a particular candidate has stolen the votes, this kind of a thing may even spur a violence even from the other side where they think maybe they have not stolen the votes. So misinformation does not only stop in a place whereby people are misguided in terms of even the voting processes, but also even the information that is even given can even spur anger by other group of people. You can as well even be told, and I saw there is an instances whereby one of the political parties in Kenya, which has written to IEBC, stating that there are a lot of electoral officers who come from one region, where that particular region is aligned by one presidential candidate. You see, such kind of information is not true, but it spurs anger to a different, the other supporter of the other presidential candidates, to see like this particular election has already been rigged, or someone is trying to do something very sinister to this Republic of Kenya. So what we are saying that misinformation is a very serious disease. In fact, it is even more than the corona people are talking about, because in this particular sense, people are even bound to make bad choices in terms of even choosing bad leaders by the information that they have been given, which might even be a wrong kind of information. And we have seen people have been even thrown out of the race. People have not been elected because there are certain rumors which actually came a day or 2 days to election, painting a bad name to a person, and that was it. And most critically, misinformation can as well lead to even a number of spoiled votes when we have. In 2017, when we were doing even the counting of votes, whereby a candidate could be told, for you to vote the person that you want, you tick that particular person. The people that you don't want, you put X, you put X, you put X. And you see that is a very serious misinformation, because that particular ballot paper is going to be out. And you make a lot of spoiled papers, stray ballot papers, whereby people are also able, because they totally do not understand that if there is a presidential ballot paper, you have to put it in a presidential ballot box, but some of the people are being told, you can as well take all the ballot paper, the 6 for the case of Kenya, and put all of them in one ballot box, and you shall have voted and you go home, bearing in mind that you've spoiled the 5 ballot paper that you are having. So these are some of the very serious things that we really deal with. And we even thank Meta together with the TikTok now that are actually even partnering with IBC Commission to ensure that a lot of misinformation which are even in TikTok are removed in good time, so that they do not deceive as many people in the Republic of Kenya. So Esther, maybe as a starter, we think that is a very pertinent kind of topic, which really needs to be dealt with as early as now. And if we don't do it, we are just creating a disaster in waiting. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Joel. You've even introduced the concept of misinformation and disinformation being a societal disease and a societal problem. But before we get to that and the deep discussion, maybe we can see if James Sakwa, if you're on Good Network, you can give us your take on the general observations on misinformation as well as disinformation, especially during this electioneering season.
Thank you very much, Esther. Please just nod if I am clearer. Great, thank you. I want to agree with what Jacinta and Julius, my friend Mwita, have said. The entire spectrum of hate speech and fake news and misinformation is alive and dangerous here in Kenya. It is dangerous because not only of what is one imagines that it might cause, but for our case, we are actually a case study and we have seen it before. Since multipartyism in Kenya in 1990, when multipartyism came in Kenya in 1992, we have had 6 elections. If you count the repeat election of 2017, then those are 7. But out of those 7 general elections, only the one in 2002 was deemed to be non-violent by a large extent. All the other 6 election levels of violence. Now, this violence usually is not deep, is not inherent. It is not a hatred that people that we live together have had over the 5 years that we've not had election. It is violence that is induced, and it is induced because of information that is passed around. Why is disinformation and misinformation more dangerous to Kenya today than in the previous elections? The previous elections, it took manual transmission of information from one party to the other. And so what was happening in Migori or Siaya was unlikely to reach the people who are in Kwale or Garissa. But today it takes just a couple of seconds and information has spread all over the 47 counties. That is one. 2, we have a huge bulge of youth in Kenya. By 2019 census, total population, young people make up to 75%. We also have another tool to that, which is internet penetration and social media penetration. In Kenya, internet penetration is almost at 68%, if I am not wrong, and social media penetration is a little higher than that. What that then means is young people who are the majority in total population are also the majority of users of internet and social media begin to become conduits of targets and conduits of misinformation and disinformation. But the other addition to that question is, if you look at the political rallies that are being attended, the physical ones, about 90% of the people who are attending those political rallies are young people. What then does that mean? That they are the biggest population, they are the most active on social media, and they are the biggest also in terms of presence in campaigns. And so it poses a real threat, because young people and who are disgruntled, and they feel they are not part of the economy, and the heat of the politics and the election seems to give them short-term promises that they appear to have surrendered their lives to the politician of their choice. And so disinformation and misinformation then puts them at the bridge, at the edge where they can easily do anything for anyone. We have seen falsified and doctored, manipulated headlines, newspaper headlines here in Kenya. Many times, almost every week, a leading newspaper or a leading media house has to come up and say, this news is not for us, this is fake news. That is the extent we have gone. Mwita said in 2017, a candidate woke up in the morning and they were alternative posters that are not carrying his message, and that's how he lost the election. And so this is very critical conversation for us now because of those reasons that I have given. And even more dangerous, Esther, is it's not just being perpetrated by politicians and their spin doctors and bloggers and influencers, but it has become difficult. And I like what Jacinta said, spot it, stop it, report it. Spotting it is one of the most difficult things to do in the age of social media. Why? Because everyone wants to be the first one to break the news. And so they find information they have not verified, they have not run it through one or two other sources, they publish it immediately. And that becomes a huge problem. Media houses themselves, they have also fallen prey to disinformation and misinformation. Many times we have seen national media houses here recant stories and pull them from their sites because they relied on unverified and unchecked information. But even worse, last week, pollsters, the polling companies that give us the rates, they are also falling prey to disinformation and misinformation. And so, Esther, just to wind that out, I want to emphasize that anyone who has capacity has to do everything to stop and debunk any form of misinformation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James. I can see on the side chat that others are engaging, and Raymond Otieno says that misinformation degrades our economy and also affects our day-to-day lives. And I can also see that Ian Mutuma he's kind enough to give us the meaning of misinformation, because they might seem like twin words, misinformation and disinformation. But misinformation is whereby you know the truth, but you choose to deceive on the facts for your own benefits or for given benefits. But back to what you have said, James, on everyone wanting to be the first one to break the news. And maybe if I can echo also what Joel said, that misinformation can really stir the waters, misinformation can spur anger among people. Then at what point do we draw the line when it comes to this freedom of expression? Because the debate that is always there is when these government organizations come in to regulate what you say on social media, or even when these social media platforms put in censorship. So that, I mean, we are going to regulate what you're posting, what you're saying, and you'll hear maybe activists saying, you know, this is freedom of expression, and it becomes a bandwagon. So where exactly do we draw this line between misinformation, disinformation, fake news, and the freedom of expression? So maybe we can start with Joel. Just briefly, where do we draw this line?
In terms of what, so that I can actually answer your question well, as in how do you draw the line, is in how, in terms of identifying the misinformation, or in terms of reporting misinformation, or what exactly is your question, so that I don't actually answer what you've not asked.
Okay, my question is this. Many are the times when posts are regulated. And when we regulate, for example, a post that is having misinformation, you'll hear people saying, as even it happens in Kenya, oh, they're trying to silence us, they're trying to make us not speak, and all that. It's neither here nor there. So when exactly can we tell that we are going into freedom of expression, where we are limiting a right that should exist? And when exactly can we say, no, we are not limiting your freedom of expression, but in your freedom of expression, you have committed, like you're saying, misinformation, disinformation, and that is why we are limiting you. I don't know if I'm clear, Joel.
Thank you so much, Esther. So number one, it is very difficult to really cut the line, and that is why you see NCIC has not even been able to prosecute very many people who have been found in such kind of a situation. You see, my brother Sakwad stated it very clearly that in Kenya, when people get information, they tend to want to ensure that they become the first one to report it. And you remember one of very senior government officials, for the case of Governor Mutua, reporting the death of the wife of His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka. You know, on issues, I don't know where they even get such kind of information. But now, in terms of the misinformation, you know, it is very difficult to prosecute someone by saying that, you know, like, number one, you remember the case that we were talking about, a politician has a poster, and then another person make up another poster purporting to be that poster belongs to that particular politician. Number one, our laws give very lengthy kind of mechanism to confirm that it is Jacinta who has said this, it is Fanny who has said this, or it is Sakwa who has said this. Or even if you take a record of someone, I hear that in court you have to prove that when the person was saying he had your consent, and you actually allowed the person to take you a video when you were saying those words. And the person can say, maybe that particular video was not mine. You took a video of mine and you just insert the words using the technology. So it becomes extremely very difficult. And we have seen a lot of people who have been caught in this kind of scenario, people who propagate propaganda and misinformation, and majorly young people who go ahead and do the writing on their social media platform. So once they do that in their social media platform, then it is very easy to link them with the kind of information that they have given, unlike the person who has just said it and you just hear the audio. So putting this particular person to task that you are the one who is responsible for this kind of information, a little bit becomes somehow difficult, Esther. So what we are saying here is we just urge everyone, especially at this particular time, that we just need to be just responsible people. You know, some of these things, they don't need someone to go to a university, you've done a PhD for you to be responsible and know what to write, what not to write. Be patient enough. If you've gotten an information, you need to actually authenticate it and ensure that the information that you're giving out is super and it is something that is going not to mislead people. I think it is a matter of self-responsibility and integrity within the people. Some of these things may not be taught in school, but it could be prudent for all of us to ensure that whatever thing that we are doing, we also think on the end goal. What are we going to achieve and what is the repercussion of anything that we write and everything that we say. But as I conclude and I say, even in our laws in Kenya, it is completely difficult to end up even charging the person who has even done misinformation, because the process is a little bit tedious, it is a little bit longer, and people are very impatient to go along. We've seen cases which have stayed for more than 10 years. In fact, some people who have even said those words end up even dying before they are going to be prosecuted. So it's a little bit difficult, but we just urge Kenyans just to be responsible.
Thank you, Joel. I concur with you that it is very difficult to draw the line, especially in social media, because once a post goes viral, you can't even really know, where it originated from. But maybe we can hear from Jacinta. What's your take? Where do we draw the line between misinformation and this freedom of expression?
Thank you, Esther. First, sorry, and this is called the curse of knowledge. The curse of knowledge, because we talk about mis and disinformation every day, so we assume everyone knows. I thought it was very prudent to have first introduced this. I even, sorry to say this, but even in your retake of mis and disinformation, you didn't quite get it right. So if you allow me, please, let me put on my teaching cap. Now, misinformation could be wrong information, inaccurate information that is shared, but without the intent. The word here being intent, underline that. Yes, you've spread it, but you had no malicious intent, okay? This information is something you've gone to the length to doctor, to orchestrate with an intent to lie, to mislead. So I hope we get this. Misinformation, it is inaccurate, but it was mistakenly shared. Disinformation, it isn't right, you know it is not right. In fact, you went ahead and created it and then spread it. That is disinformation. And then there's malinformation. I know it's not part of today, but malinformation is actually true information that is shared to hurt. For example, sharing of nudes. Probably at the point where you took those nudes, it wasn't a bad thing because, two consenting adults. But at the point where you leak those, you intend to hurt someone. So it becomes malinformation. Now, with that out of the way, allow me to put this across in form of a story and an analogy, because I think those two tend to stick and to be relatable better. Now, it's true, we've entered the information age. However, I don't feel like we were ready for this new age, which is the information age. And clearly we have seen problems so far. We've seen memes of a mom tweeting, like on Facebook throughout, they were bathing their child, they left their child in the sink, and the meme says, if you see my mom, remind her that I'm still here in the sink. We've seen, families around the dinner table, everyone is on their phone, nobody's talking to nobody, okay? Information age came, but I don't feel we were well equipped enough to deal with the demands and everything that came with it. So this is how I like to say it and to look at it in form of an analogy that this age, information age, we've handed a gun to a 4-year-old boy. Now, imagine how, and this is a real gun, it's not a toy gun, to a 4-year-old. So upon little excitement, that boy can shoot you. When they are disappointed, they can shoot you. When there's nothing you can do about it. Or there's something we can do about it. But the truth is that a 4-year-old boy right now is holding a gun that can shoot and kill. This is us. The gun is the information. Okay. And that's why we're experiencing everything we're experiencing, because this boy is not trained on how to handle a gun. And as I said, very little emotions, this boy can react. Now, that's why we said we are too excitable. We want to be the first to break the news. We can't keep calm generally. So the conversations, and you did ask Jacinta two things. What do you think about this whole thing? So this is what I think we need to do about this gun situation. First, I think we need to teach or to go back to values, okay? This is one thing that we've deviated from as a country. I'm speaking about my country, Kenya, and I'm sure the other represented countries here, they have their own issues. But I feel like value system is completely off. That is why we feel it's okay for me to just go online and abuse Sakwa because I can. And what can he do about it? Impunity. So when I speak about values here, I'm speaking about personal values. I'm speaking about family values. I'm speaking about community values. I am speaking about national values, regional values, and then we are moving to the global stage. The things we are witnessing online in the digital space, they are despicable. People are angry, people are polarized. The humanity, Utu and Ubuntu, is lost. I feel like before we even talk about the issue of, because we cannot fix with policy, we cannot fix with regulation what needs to be a moral or ethical thing. So we could regulate all we want, but is it sustainable? I feel like some things are intrinsic. I need to know that I need to treat my brother and my sister well. So when you go ahead and you know, like one form of specifically, because, you know, I'm a girl and I like to talk about, advocate about girl things. When we talk about mis and disinformation, I could very quickly talk about how this thing is like harming like women politicians, for example. There's an example I like to use. There's a lady politician in this country, Kenya, who is a victim of mis and disinformation. So this is how the story goes. So they were supposed to pass a motion. So there are two divides of, you know, the parliament, the MPs for the sitting president and for the opposition. So they needed to work on something to pass a bill or a motion. So they were to meet somewhere, a lot of people in a hotel, okay, to go and do that business of passing the motion. So the convener is calling everyone, specifically calling, hey, Jacinta, because, you know, people change mind all the time. Hey, Jacinta, still on, are you coming? Hey, Sakwa, are you still? He was calling everyone. And so Jacinta innocently here says, yes, we are in. In fact, I have checked into the hotel. You get that? That's recorded, eh? And it's a different year. Then this lady politician, one time she really needs help to move a body from a morgue, you know, for burial and everything. And this other male politician is able to do that because they even ran a rescue, something called rescue. They have cars to rescue things, situation like those. So she requests very humbly, hey, my friend, could you help me to move this body? This woman is stuck. They cannot afford to clear the body. The male politician is, okay, yeah, no problem. I can help you to do this. The lady, because she's socialized in the Western world, it's okay to call people darling. Hey, darling, thank you so much. I love you so much. You know, as a way of expressing deep gratitude for the help she got. So now this person picks that thing of, hey, I have even checked into the hotel, and then connects it. Remember, these are different years, different situations. You know, I have checked into the hotel. Thank you so much, darling. I love you. Makes it into one clip and puts it into the media, and it goes viral. Now it is said that Jacinta has checked into the hotel room with Joel Mwita, and she even told Joel she loves Joel so much. And it said that lies, you know, by the time truth puts on shoes, The lies has traveled the world. So now everyone starts to look at Jacinta like some girl with some loose morals, like, why should we vote Jacinta if this is, the kind of person she is? So I am saying our values. If I, as a person, I can sink this law to do such a thing, then it's not even a matter of regulating, this issue. I feel like it's a matter of going back to the basics. Values, personal values, family values, community values, national values, regional values, and then the globe. I feel like when we go back to that, we can have some sort of semblance of sanity and humanity in the spaces. And the second thing I'm going to talk about is intellectual laziness. I feel like the more we have been empowered and the more we have access, to information, the more we have become lazy. We take everything as gospel truth and we run with it. So I like to tell young people, you have no excuse. You've gone to school, you have these powerful gadgets. You can reverse check an image, for crying out loud. You can go into YouTube, to Google, and see how to do these things. A simple thing as mis and disinformation. As I said, it was in today's front page of the newspaper. But how many young people even took the initiative even to ask, what is misinformation? What is disinformation? Curiosity. That alone, the intellectual laziness, if we stop it, if I get anything and I am curious enough to know, and then, I think we could sort this issue by a huge mile, by just these two things: values and stopping this thing of intellectual laziness. Guys, we can do better. If you ask me, we can do better, and certainly we need to do better. Thanks.
All right, thank you so much, Jacinta. I'm sorry, somehow I got out of good network, but I'm back. From what you're saying is about values, and that really takes us into our next question today. Who are the stakeholders? Now that you're mentioning personal, community, national, and even at the global value. So maybe we can just state briefly, because we have to even give the audience time to engage with us. So briefly stating, who are these stakeholders when it comes to enforcing laws against hate speech, misinformation, and disinformation? So we start with James, kindly.
Thank you very much, Esther. The stakeholders in this are everyone who has ability to read, to write, to speak, and to listen. And then they are broken down in their various institutions and categories and their responsibilities. And before I speak to them specifically, just to ventilate a little on your previous question, where do we draw the line on the question of rights and freedoms? I say three things. One, that we draw the line on responsibility. If I am to share anything to say, to circulate, I have to ask myself, why am I ready to take responsibility for something that Jacinta said? Do I have that much confidence in her that whatever she says is solid? The second thing I say is that people need to learn to disassociate from repetitive or repeat offenders, for lack of a better word. If I know that person X, more often than not, their posts on Facebook or on Twitter, they are caught with their pants down, in a manner of speaking, then I have to disassociate from that person. Otherwise, I become an enabler, because every time they put up a tweet and they go and see the insights, they see that very many people have viewed or liked or interacted with, and that encourages them to put up another post tomorrow. And the third thing is on now the stakeholders we are talking about. On the question of rights and freedoms, I think that the stakeholders, especially regulators in our country, and even in other countries in East Africa, because I study the current affairs and politics across East Africa, the regulators need to be consistent. They need to be consistent with their laws, their regulations, and their policies. But what we have seen, which has become an enabler, is the flip-flopping that is happening within our regulations or our regulators. Even here in Kenya, a couple of months ago, one politician stands on a podium, says something that is very, very a word that has been used before to incite community violence, and he's arrested in under 24 hours. Less than a week later, another politician of a different formation uses the same words, and his lieutenants justify their use of that word, and the regulators do not even go as low as or do at least invite them to clarify their point. So the inconsistency is glaring, and that breeds the contempt and the impunity that we begin to see. So the stakeholders, one, are the individuals. You and I, we are stakeholder in this matter, because as we have said, we have no other country to go in. If I am a Tanzanian, I have no other country to go in. I am a Tanzanian and my country is Tanzania. I may go and live in Switzerland, but I remain a Tanzanian. And so if Tanzania does not stabilize, I cannot have peace. If I am a Rwandan, I cannot have peace in Belgium when Rwanda is unstable and not peaceful. And so we are the very first stakeholders, and our role is to take responsibility of what we say and what we read, what we consume, what we give and what we take. The second stakeholder are the regulators, government agencies. And that is in Kenya, that will be the NCIC, that will be the ESCC, that will be even the IEBC themselves. Because why would the IEBC clear a candidate who has repeatedly offended sections of the law? Why would IEBC clear a candidate who has been caught multiple times spreading disinformation and misinformation? I believe that, in my view, should be grounds to be considered to have offended Chapter 6 on ethics, on leadership of the Constitution of Kenya. And the other stakeholder in terms of government would be now the justice system. That would be the Directorate of Criminal Investigation, the National Police Service, the Office of the Director of Public Prosecution, and the judiciary themselves. There needs to be some stern action. And I do not think that necessarily calls for reviewing of our existing laws and policies, because we have enough of that. In fact, Ungwana Initiatives, Ken Jiru and Professor PLO Lumumba have previously said that we are oversupplied with laws and policies and regulations in this country. What we lack is the moral courage to apply evenly and consistently. What we lack is the adequate software to apply to the hardware that we have created. And so the police, the judiciary, the public, the DPP, they need to be consistent with what the spirit and the letter of the law. The other stakeholders in this matter are now the ISPs, the internet service providers or the mobile providers, because we are using the internet and we are using mobile devices to disseminate disinformation and misinformation. And I'm sure they all have privacy policy and all these policies that should guard against fake news. But to what extent is it being applied? And so ISPs and mobile service providers need to rethink, need to go back, the Airtels and Safaricoms and Telecoms of this world, including MTN and Vodafone in Tanzania, in Uganda and Tanzania respectively. What is their role in stopping disinformation? And I believe they have not only just a role, but also the capacity to do so. The other stakeholder that I would say are now the platform owners. Platform owners would be the social media companies, the social media giants. This is Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Surprisingly, who would have known that TikTok would be a channel for misinformation and disinformation? Their role here, and I think that they wield the biggest stick. They have the most power. I think that they are the ones who can help us to enforce and they put an end to this menace once and for all, because they know all the accounts that exist. And with a switch of a button, they can tell who has circulated disinformation and misinformation today. But what is the risk? What is their business risk? Their business risk is the commercial sense that the more users, they deactivate and suspend their accounts. That is where they lose revenue because of the data that they trade in. But then they have to consider, do they want, for how long do they want to continue trading that data? Do they want to sell data today and have no society tomorrow that will make sense of their data? Or do they want to sell little data today, but sell it for more and more generations? But then, and to mention that, the other stakeholder is the media houses. Media houses, at some point in Kenya, a couple of years back, Citizen TV had a section on Fridays called the Truth Meter. And Truth Meter would pick a couple of statements that have been made by a couple of people over the week, and then more do like a fact check and give a verdict on those statements. I think that needs to come back, and it needs to come back strategically, programmatically, and in a way that is not just for entertainment, but is to invite action, to invite legal action. Why? But there's a reason that is not happening today, and it can't happen because of media ownership in Kenya. If you look at media ownership as an enabler of disinformation and misinformation, media ownership is politically entrenched, and that then hinders the war against disinformation.
Okay, thank you, James. That was a very, very detailed insight on the stakeholders, and now we can clearly see who are the stakeholders. But now the question would be, and this I will pose to all the guests, have these stakeholders played their roles? All these stakeholders that have been said. So I think it's a yes or a no, and maybe a brief reason as to that, so that we quickly move to the next one. So have these stakeholders played their roles? And if not, what do you think is the reason why they have not played their roles? So we'll start with Joel.
Thank you so much. First, I would also want to reiterate on the previous question that you had asked in terms of the roles of different agencies in preventing misinformation, disinformation among the people of mostly our Republic of Kenya. And I can say it is an issue of value, as Nyambura has already stated. I can also give you an example that the rumor mongers in this republic has the highest following in our social media platforms, and this is very simple, and I think Esther Gitau, today you take a very nice photo, a very decent photo with a very insightful quote. I'm sure you are likely to get 2 likes, but there is a person who will come up with a very funny picture, a naked, those kind of things. Those are people which people, when you put it, you get 2,000 likes, So our population prepared to get very factual information, very critical information, and in a more decent way, so that it can also encourage people to be posting things that are of benefit to the society. Like even today, when you even take a photo of, there will be a speaker in an online space, and you have a photo of that and a link, and I'm telling you and I'm assuring you, I think Jacinta and Sako will bear me witness that you will get at most, if you are a very famous, 50 post likes. But someone akisema now tunaenda Dunda, and this is the thing that we are going to have fun in those particular spaces, then you will see the likes, the number of likes that person will get. So this one gives us a clear indication that very many people in our Republic of Kenya are no longer interested with values, are no longer interested with things that are beneficial to all of us. And these are very critical things, and should give us also a reason why we should worry more as to why people are no longer interested to get the truth and also the fact of kind of information. In terms of the cooperation between different entities that are actually mandated to have these things done, I can say that there is somehow a weakness. And some of this kind of weakness, we've even seen them during this particular election period, whereby we have seen in cases whereby a certain entity, like for example, Commission for University Education, has revoked and said that this particular certificate is fake. Now, the court say, we stop this particular process, don't investigate this particular certificate for I don't know what reason. But you see, if this all the entities were working together, because it has a ripple effect. When a candidate present fake certificates to IEBC, IBC does not have power to determine this certificate is fake, the information in this particular paper is misleading, then the entity which is supposed to actually say that this particular information is misleading come and gives the right information and say that we've revoked this particular paper, the information here is misleading. The person goes to the court and they stop the process. So there is no, in Kiswahili, they say, hakuna ushirikiano mwema katika all the entities which are supposed to take part in this kind of processes to ensure that every institution complement with each other. You know, a person has already been named by EACC, the person moves to court and stop that kind of the process. You know, Sakwa had said that this person has been named previously in hate speech, this person has been laundering money, this person has done this, and then the same person is being cleared by IBC to run for office. But you see, the thing is, different arms of government have different jobs. And once one arm of the government does not complement to the other arm of the government, then that kind of cooperation, when it stops, then nothing will completely move. Now, IBC cannot now say that we are not clearing this person because of this. Sometimes we've seen instances whereby a court give an order even when the ballot paper has already been printed. In the case of Makueni, whereby Mutula Kilonzo Jr. had his name had to be inserted during the time, because before that they had put Kate Kilonzo, and the court had said the person was not registered, so it will not be in the ballot. But the party went to the court, and the court insisted that the party has the room to give another candidate. So when another candidate comes, you find that even the ballot papers have been printed, you go again and also have those particular things done. So I'm saying, and if all these particular parties, all these particular elements, the court, the different arms of the government, EACC, could be working in unison and ensure that they expertise everything that they do in a timely manner, it could really help in big time to also fight some of these things. But the biggest beneficiary, or the biggest fan of the lies and misinformation, I think it is us, the human beings and the population of our Republic of Kenya. If we can be liking those misinformation, and they're the ones which have more likes than anything else, then if a person posts a stupid post and no one likes, and people condemn that kind of a post, and I think if 2 or 3 people are discouraged consistently, people will start having sense in their mind, and they will also start behaving in a manner that suggests that it is serious, it is not as business as usual, so that people really work together. So both the institutions which are mandated to do the work and also the citizens who propagate this kind of information. As you understand, with this era of technology, that rumors tend to run faster than the real information. And you can now understand the nature of human beings that we have. So we better now take our responsibility of ensuring that our value, our responsibility, and whatever that we do, let it be of beneficial to our country, since we also don't have any other country to go when this particular country is burned away. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joel. That was very, very detailed. And I think we won't have time for the other guests to really say on their take on whether the stakeholders have really played their role and their mandate. But this will take me direct to the following questions, because we are talking to the youth. This forum comprises of a majority of youth. Then what is the role of the youth in spreading misinformation? And in regards to this, what is your organization, the one that you're representing, doing to curb the misinformation and disinformation, starting from the youth heading up? So those are the two questions that I'm posing to all the panelists today. What is the role of the youth, first, in spreading misinformation, and what is your organization doing to curb the spread of misinformation and disinformation? I believe we are also stakeholders. So Jacinta, maybe you can continue with the dialogue on that.
Okay, so what is the role of youth in spreading mis and disinformation? As it's been alluded to over and over again, imagine we are the media. If you have a phone, you is the media. Stop looking at TV and seeing Citizen TV, KTN there, and everyone else there. Media ni wewe. When you have that phone of yours, imagine you can disinform, you can inform, you can spread mis and disinformation. So turn the lens inwards, because you are the media. I hope if we don't leave anything else from here today, it's the fact that you know that you're the media and you are responsibility. Even the Bible says, to those whom a lot is given, a lot is expected. So information age has given you a lot of powers. You're the media. So your role in spreading mis and disinformation, it is spreading carelessly without checking what you're spreading. So can you please check? What are our organizations doing? We are creating awareness. And just, to show you exactly how we are spreading awareness, I am going to teach you how to spot mis and disinformation. This is what CRECO is doing, and so I'm going to do it practically here tonight. So how do you spot mis and disinformation? First, very briefly, I'll just tell you how it manifests. As conspiracy theory. Conspiracy theory, very briefly put, is like, I tell you this. I tell you, for example, a very bad example, but it's relatable. I tell you, guys, unfortunately, Sakwa has left us today. He's been hit by a motorbike. Sorry, guys, this is not an appropriate thing, but allow me to. He's been hit by a motorbike. And that's the truth, and that's what I've said. But then you say, no. Sakwa cannot be hit by a motorbike. He wasn't hit by a motorbike. In fact, this is what happened to him. Conspiracy theories. Then there's the clickbait. In Kenya, we like to say number 8 will surprise you. So that you go to number 8, you click on that. Then there's the hyper-partisan content. Then there's the pseudoscience. We saw a lot of pseudoscience. It's things that look like science, but they're not. During COVID, there was a lot of, articles using very, what do you call them? A lot of jargon. And so you would think that this is science speak, and it wasn't. And then just fabricated fake news. So I spoke of how mis and disinformation manifests: conspiracy theories, clickbaits, hyper-partisan content, pseudoscience, and fabricated. So this is how it manifests. And then how do you spot it? The first thing is, if something has a shock value, as I said, disinformation and misinformation targets things with emotional value. You'll not find stories of plain Jane, being targeted for mis and disinformation. So if you read something and it makes you feel anger or shock or sadness, or you need to interrogate that. Why has it made me feel this type of way? So that's one, shock value. If something is sensational, it is likely to be mis and disinformation. Check it. Then what is the source? What is the source of this thing? Who wrote it? Where was it published? Does it have a name? Does it have a date? That website, is it www.co.ke? You'll find some of, I don't know what we call specifically, but the URL, it's funny things. It's not ORG, So look, if a website looks funny, chances are it's a troll, it's a bot. So please be a troll or a bot. Again, I said curse of knowledge. Why social media is very effective in spreading mis and disinformation, it's because there are things we call bots and trolls. These are not genuine accounts. So I can create a bot that can like articles, like 1 million likes in a second. And then again, there's this thing we call like bias. If you see something many times, it tends to feel like it's true. So if I have a bot liking, then algorithms checking, then you find that this is like trending. It's like the thing everywhere you look, this thing is there because of the likes. So it's like floated to the top. So that's the role of bots and bots. Bots specifically, we say they are not authentic accounts. They are a creation, and they can push a story or an agenda faster than human people could. So yeah, check the source, credibility. Yeah. Again, someone said this earlier. Look at the history of who wrote something. First letters like Esther. If Esther is known to support a particular political candidate, it's a fact that she can never say a good thing about the opponent. So anytime you hear anything from Esther, just know that it's in support of this person. It said, who pays you dictates how you think and what you talk about. So it's safer to go to non-partisan, to someone who is not supporting anyone directly. That way you're both likely to get more balanced news. Then fact checking. Like, as I said, look at the facts, get to know context. If you do not know the whole context, it's very easy for someone to pick the middle of a story, twist it and run with it. So young people, remember what we said, intellectual laziness is not accepted. Take your time, read about the history of this country, so that when someone talks about things, do we know about political parties, for example? What is a political party? Why is it important? Do we know what ORPP in this country does? ORPP being the Registrar of Political Parties. We have this information. Go to their sites and learn what they do. If you can read now, the manifestos are out. Do not wait for Joel to come and tell you the manifesto of this person says this, that. Read for yourself and understand. Read the Constitution for yourself and understand. Like during this time we were talking about BBI. It's funny that a lot of young people to date do not know what BBI was all about. They had no idea. Why? Because we choose to spend the whole time on Twitter, on Facebook, reading about things that, sorry to say, and sorry if I come down a bit hard, but it's because it's personal and it makes me feel sad. I feel really bad when I'm passing through like social media, and there's, sorry to say, a very useless thing about, I don't know who is having sex with who, and I don't know. And it has almost 1 million comments, things that will not help your life in any way. And then we have something very exciting like Okoa Uchumi, a whole campaign on, Okoa Uchumi. And we are talking about the cost, of elections in this country, or the cost of SGR Expressway, and how it is connected, to the high cost of living. And how many comments? 4. And how many comments about, I don't know who is running around with who? 1 million. Young people, we need to decide where we are taking focus, because politics and these things, they really affect us. Now, all of us, no one is being spared. The cost of living is unbearable. So it's for us to decide. Do you want to know how governance in this country works? Do you want to hold people to account, on governance issues? Or do we still want to go and flock those pages of Esther is running around with Sakwa? Like, how does that affect my life in any way? So as I was saying, be skeptical. Yeah, when you see something, I said curiosity, be curious, be skeptical, put on your critical mind, read something, see loopholes. Does this story add up? Again, as I said, if you're well read, you have context, many perspectives on issues, it's very easy, to see stories that do not add up. But if you're being told everything, you're not criticizing it, and you do not know the background, then you're going to challenge on what grounds? Yeah, okay. Then evidence-based. Please go to the sites of, for example, IEBC. Every day there's a fake circular on, IEBC has said this, IEBC has new commissioners, IEBC has fake things. Yet, if you went to the IEBC website itself, you could have the real news. So, evidence-based, go to the right sources. Then review multiple sources. I say, you see people like the legacy media houses, that's the KTNs and the Citizens and the NTBs, they have a lot to lose. They have very stringent editorial standards. They cannot publish a story they've not checked. So at the end of the day, after being on all these platforms, Twitter, make a point of going across, all these legacy media houses. If it's not in KBC, it's not in Citizen, it's not in KTN, chances are it is disinformation. So please review multiple sources for the same story. And yes, then there was something very, and I talked about this earlier, that we need to slow down. We really, really need to step on the brakes. I mean, it doesn't matter who breaks the news first, or, let's just be good human beings. It's been said people have learned about the deaths of their loved ones through Facebook. Someone very carelessly broke the news, and a mother learned that their child had died that way. So remember what I said about Utu and values. Let us step on the brakes. There's no prize really for being the first to break the news. And what else? Yeah, I said check the source. I said step on brakes. And I said, yeah, don't trust cute things. As I said, mis and disinformation will mostly go to emotional things. It doesn't like logical things. So don't trust cute things, memes, those things that make you laugh and feel very nice and happy. Chances are mis and disinformation, they are peppered with a lot of that. Become a critical thinker. Don't just consume everything that comes your way. And then when you find mis and disinformation, the last thing, please report it. And by reporting, I know like Meta, they have their reporting things. I call third party, they call them third party something. Just report it, or don't spread it. If you find something that it's a lie, just the same way you like follow it and say, this thing I shared earlier, I think it's a lie. don't discard it, don't spread it further. Just be a grown-up about it and say the truth. So that's what I can say. I think that was your
Thank
question.
you so much, Jacinta. I've
Yeah.
also learned on how to spot fake news, misinformation, and disinformation. So maybe I give Joel and James 2 minutes strictly on the role that the youth play in spreading this type of information and what your organization is doing. In this case, we have the IBC and also the Emerging Leaders Foundation Africa. So what are your organizations doing? Very briefly, so that we take questions from the participants. So I will start with Joel.
Yes, now that Jacinta has already talked and told us all those things, we don't need also to be labored to do a lot of stuff on the same topic. I just need to inform you some of the things that the IBC Youth Coordinating Committee is doing and the Commission at large in terms of spotting and also countering disinformation and misinformation, especially this time of election. Number one, the Commission has also partnered with Meta and also TikTok Africa. So they have special gadgets, features that are able to detect misinformation and disinformation and bring those kind of posts down. And in some instances whereby if a certain person consistently do the same thing, they actually even remove the person from their platform and delete that particular account. So that is very critical, that we need to understand that the Commission is on top of it, and it has partnered with the service provider to ensure that all those things, and they have given a lot of tools to ensure that those things are detected and also removed. Number two, we've conducted a lot of trainings so that could give the correct information to the people in the ground. For the youth committee alone, we've covered more than 40 counties as per now. And by 18th, we shall have covered all the 47 counties and ensuring that each and every young persons, the youth leaders, at least a representative, have the right information that they will be able to cascade the same information to other people so that by the time they're coming to engage, they have the right information. Because what we said, some people, one of the cause of misinformation is people do not have the right information. So what you are doing is to provide the right information to them so that they can actually propagate the right information to everyone at large. Number three is also the engagement on a social media platform, whereby the Commission now constantly give information on the status update of the election preparedness and important things that they really need to understand. You can see even today, the Commission has even issued a statement on the election preparedness and issues that really people need to know and understand. So once you give people the right information, timely information, engage with them, having a stakeholders meeting, like also today we are having a meeting with KEPSA to just also understand the dynamics of the private sector. So once all these things are done, then it is easy for all of us to ensure that the information getting out, the information coming in is authentic, and the people who are going to do the otherwise actually faced by some kind of the law takes its course. So I think let me end it there so that we can as well have our colleague and also have the audience engaging with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel, for brief and for taking us through. So, James, we are on your side. You tell us what Emerging Leaders Foundation does and what you think is the role of the youth in spreading this misinformation, very briefly.
Thank you, Esther. I believe that the youth one have contributed to the spread of disinformation and misinformation through their popularity first, as I may call it, because the more viewers, the more followers, the more comments and likes, like Jacinta said, one has, the more they appear to have made it on the social side of life. And one of the ways to get there then becomes spreading as much sensational news, sharing as many posts as it is possible. But we also know that our human nature then reacts to what is sensational, and that then excites. There is hormones that are activated when people are excited and are highly interacting with your content. And like I said earlier, that then enables the continuing sharing of and spreading of such information. But the youth, again, they are enablers of this. Largely by what Jacinta said, we are not interacting with information, we are not interacting with knowledge. If the young people are interacting with this information, then it would be easier for them. We wouldn't even need the technical skills of spotting what fake news is, because we would intellectually know what is wrong, what is right, and what is wrong. And so because we are not, we are not interacting with the present knowledge, we are unable to identify what is right and wrong, and so spread it indiscriminately. What then is the role of ELF Africa? What are we doing? One, we work with young people below the age of 35 and across 14 counties. And over the last 10 years, we have directly reached over 10,000 of them. So what happens with these 10,000? They continue, they remain within our alumni network and continue to participate in many of our activities that are run over the counties. And we pride ourselves in running programs that then nurture and raise values-based leaders. And that is always our beginning point. So we consider ourselves to be contributors of a sane social space by virtue of the fact that the leaders we are raising, nurturing, and deploying out there are values-based. What that then means is they have a sense of morality in what they engage in, what they do, and what they circulate there. Sense of morality to say that they are careful of what is and what is not. And when they are found on the side of erring, then they take responsibility and learn from it. The other thing we are doing is we are working with stakeholders. We have had a couple of sessions with the representatives from NCIC on what role our 10,000 plus young people can do in this period to be peace monitors in the different counties. But we are also, through our different activities, social media and the ongoing trainings, and even the convening, the forums that we convene, continue to remind our people, the ELF fraternity, that we are the conscience of this country, we are the conscience of this continent. And because our mantra has been moving the young people from the periphery of decisions to the center of them, to the decision table, we have deliberately engaged them in their communities and in their counties. In what ways can they do to spread peace? As we speak, a couple of them in Wasingishu are part of an IBC forum that is going on peace monitoring and peace building. And many such activities will continue in other counties like Migori and Kilifi, and even here in Nairobi. Our messaging is consistent across our platforms. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James. I'm happy to see that we have organizations on ground that are working towards curbing this menace. And I think it's now time we hear from our participants, just brief comments, very, very brief, so that we conclude at 8:40. So maybe we can use the hand, the tools that are on our screens, so we can raise our hands. I'm going to take only 2. And the last one being Kaze. So maybe we can raise our hands in case we have any comments, how the session has been, what you think next time we should cover, and many other things. So, or you can even comment on the side chat. I can see Beth Mora. Any other hand? The last hand. Meanwhile, as we wait for another hand, okay, we have two. So Beth Mora and Timothy Kungu. We can have Beth start very briefly, and then Timothy Kungu, and then we'll conclude with Kazeneza.
Okay, good evening, Esther.
Good evening.
So, yeah, I've actually learned a lot from this session. I actually didn't know about bots. I used to see the word bots on comments, people saying, oh, these bots are tiring. Today I've known about them. And it's really interesting to learn how misinformation can literally change the course of a whole country, from peace structures to the legal structures to even society itself, and like disrupt life. So maybe in the next sessions, I don't know, this is my first time attending this whole thing. Maybe you've discussed it in the previous seasons, but maybe what we could look at the next sessions is voter apathy. The way youth don't really want to vote. People are tired because they're saying it's the same people over and over again. And yeah, what it really means, what it means to be a youth in the political scene, in terms of being a voter and coming out to vie for leadership positions. Because we've had few people who've vied for leadership positions, but then the examples they're setting, they're not encouraging people to vote in youth. So maybe next time we can discuss voter apathy among the youth.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
That is really true. People say qua ground. That is what is really being said. Also, we can hear from Timothy. Any comments, what we should do next time, what you have learned?
Thank you, Esther. My name is Timothy. I have actually enjoyed the session, and I am a youth who is going for an elite, and also a person with disability. And this has enabled me to know that there are measures that I can take when I hear of propaganda, miscommunication, such things. So continue with this. Let's spread the love and peace to Kenyan youth. And also question, what EMF, the leadership foundation, does it deal only with the leaders from those few countries? Can they mention other countries that they deal with? Thank you.
Thank you so much. James, there's a question posed to you on the counties where ELF is stationed and where it works. Maybe you can side chat us so that Timothy Kongo can get in touch with you, even your contacts. Maybe the panelists can share the contacts on the side chat so that our participants can follow up with also any other questions that they might be having. Kaze, if you're around, it's your time. Kazeneza.
Yes, do you hear me?
Yes, very well.
There is someone who has a mic open. Onyeka, can you kindly mute your mic? Thank you. So I just wanted to really say thank you very much to you, Esther, for taking us through. This was very, very nice. At ULEAD, we are very happy to have had this discussion, but this is together with our consortium members in Kenya who are ELF, Emerging Leaders Foundation, Africa Youth Trust, Run for Office, Action Aid Kenya, CMD, Kenya Young Parliamentarian Association, Nairobi. I hope I haven't forgotten anyone, but just really to say thank you very much to everyone. I think me and you, we had a side chat how this was a very, very nice session, and we even feel bad that all the questions we had, we wanted to hear even more. So just to tell our speakers that we might come back to you guys for maybe a bigger audience, we might think to do maybe a Twitter space on the same topic, where we can even get more young people listening and learning. I think this was really a very occasion to learn in many ways about these things connected to the election, but also beyond the election, because I think what we have learned is not just about the elections, but are things which happen in our daily life, especially as young people who are now connected and all over in all platforms. So I want to say thank you again to everyone and wish you a great evening. Have a great evening to you all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kaze, and thank you for that good vote of thanks. This brings us to the end of our discussion today. I, who was moderating for you, am Esther Gitau, the Deputy Youth Ambassador to East Africa Kenya chapter. You can leave the meeting at your own discretion, and kindly make sure you share the information to as many youths as you can reach. Have a blessed evening.
Thank you very much for having us. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Shape young men and women with the pillars, with the future. Here we are, let's join together with ability to change communities, with love, with peace, to respond to our need, to call for unity. Africa, hear me cry, never leave me alone. As I say loud in a brighter future, let's join hands for youth and women. Let's join hands for youth and women.
I lead, we lead.
Vijana kutoka mashariki, magharibi, kaskazini na kusini, hata na kati, twaja pamoja ili tufanye nini?